Shalom and welcome back to Hebrew Grammar Help. This is the third and last video on writing the letters. This video covers Ayin through Taf. This is the third and final video on writing the letters in block and in cursive. This video covers Ayin through Taf, including Fe Sofit and Tzadi Sofit. So let's get to it. Kadima! All right, Ayin. This is one of the letters that I had to relearn when I was teaching my son. I could not for the life of me remember how to make this letter. What you do is you start from the top right corner and then you make a diagonal line, again, about 1/3 of the way across horizontally. And then you continue with that same stroke and you make a horizontal line all the way to the left corner. And you pick up that pen and you move over. I mean, you can go all the way to the top left corner, but I think it's more common to start a little bit to the right of that. And then you make a diagonal line that hits the bottom stroke. Doesn't hit in the corner. I mean, it can. It won't be horrible if it does, but it's supposed to hit on that bottom line. And then I've also seen it this way, which is kind of growing on me. You start at the top right corner, and instead of making, with that first stroke, instead of making a line to the bottom line and then a horizontal line, it's all going to be one line, right? So it's kind of one bowed diagonal line from the top right corner to the bottom right corner. And then you start at the top left corner and you draw a diagonal line that hits the other line somewhere in the middle there. And at first I really didn't like this, but it's growing on me. I kind of like it. Either one, I've kind of seen them both. It's hard to, I was thinking, oh, how do I see the Israelis do it? Well, I don't, because I always see them write in cursive. But remember, what's the important thing about a printed or block Ayin is that it's smooth on the right. And so you can see that both of these have a smooth right side. That's the important thing. Okay, cursive Ayin. This is another fun one. You start at the top right corner and then you kind of arch down to the left and come around and then come back up to the top left corner, making what looks like a little downward fish. I mean, come on, how cute is that? Block pay. There are two ways to write it. The first way is all one stroke. You are going to start in the middle of your letter space. You're going to make a horizontal line to the left edge of the letter space. You're going to come up to the top left corner and then go across to the top right corner, go down to the bottom right corner, come back over to the bottom left corner. So it's like a big squarish spiral. The other way to write it takes two strokes, and you start by drawing a kaf. So top left to top right to bottom left. And then you pick up your pen and you put it almost to that top left corner, but you leave a little bit of a tap. And then you come down about halfway, and then you go across into the center of the space. So you can see they almost look the same. It's just the one has a tag and the one doesn't. And you can see that some of the printed forms have like, you can tell that they would be, if you're trying to draw them, you would draw them. One version you would have to print with one stroke, and the other version you would have to do with two strokes. So either one is fine. And then the cursive pay, what we have to do is we have to start in the top left corner, or maybe a little below it. And then we're going to draw a nice big curve all the way around It's pretty much, it's going to almost look like an O until you get back over to this left side, and then you're going to spiral inward. Block, face, or feet. Just like pay, you can make it with 2 strokes or with 1 stroke. So here's the 1 stroke version. Again, you start in the middle and you make a horizontal line to the left edge. And then you go up to the top left corner, across to the top right corner, and then down past the bottom line with a long enough tail to make it obvious. And then the other way is with 2 strokes. So you start at the top left corner, a horizontal line to the top right corner, and then a vertical line down past the bottom line. And then you come back almost to that top left corner, but leave your little tag, and then go down about halfway, and then come across over into the middle. Okay, and make sure not to close it off or anything like that. I hate writing cursive face-o-feet. I have been known to choose a different word or change my sentence around to make my word, like whatever word was ending with a face-o-feet, to make it plural so that I can use a regular fay. I hate writing this letter. It always comes out looking so goofy. I don't know what to say about it, but I just never make it right. So it starts like a lamed. You're gonna start in the middle, but a little below the middle. You're gonna make your little loop. There's a counterclockwise loop so that you've got like an oval. And then you come back up and out up the top, right? Out the top. So you're now above the line. And now what you're going to do is, instead of just a quick little hook to the right, that would make it a lamed, you are going to curve to the right, but then now you're going to continue down and you're going to actually cross that main line again and come down and down and down. And what are you going to do? You're going to cross that line again. And now you can kind of flip it upwards. So it kind of looks like a treble clef if you read music. So I have also seen it. The interesting thing, and I wish I knew this because maybe then my face-o-feets wouldn't look so ugly. I've noticed that the second crossing that gets your line that you're drawing back over to the right side is not actually necessary. You can omit it. So you draw your loop at the bottom, you go all the way up to the top, you make a right turn, right? And then you come and you cross your main line, and then you continue downwards. Your stroke needs to continue going downward, but then you can just stop right there. This clearly looks a lot better. I didn't see it until I was an adult. I hate writing this letter no matter what. Now, one other way that I've seen it written is like this, where basically you come up like we're doing with the loop at the bottom, you come up to the top, you make a right turn. Now, as soon as you come back down and hit this line, instead of crossing it, you kind of bounce off of it and make what looks like a capital B at the top. And to be honest, I have a couple of books that teach it to be written this way. And I was wondering what on earth that was, because I had never seen it written that way. So I asked one of my teachers, who was born in 1990, and I asked him, had he ever seen it written that way? And he said, I don't even know what letter that is. He had never seen it written that way. Basically, it is not common. So I don't recommend writing it this way. I definitely recommend crossing the line, continuing down a little bit, and then just ending it there. And just like with the lamed, you want to minimize your loop. Don't make it so big like I did. Sadi. Block sadi. We are going to start at the top right corner, and we are going to make a line that's diagonal line down to the left until you get right around the middle of the space. Then you are going to pick up your pen and go to the top left corner and you are going to make a diagonal line to the bottom right corner. And hopefully, as you pass by the middle, you touched the end of your other stroke. And when you get to that bottom right corner, you're going to turn to the left and you're going to make a horizontal line over to the bottom left corner. And that's your blocked sadi. And notice how you've got your little indentation the way you're supposed to with a sadi. Now, cursive sadi, this is the one that looks like a big 3. Now, every single book that I have ever seen, and I have seen many, have said that this entire top part of the 3 is supposed to be above the top line. And it's only the bottom part that takes up the entire letter space. But I have definitely seen Israelis write it just the same size as all of the other letters. So basically, they would just write it like a 3 within the letter space. And even when I told one of my native teachers that the sadi was supposed to be bigger, he was really surprised. So, but I mean, I have books that are intended for native students, native Israelis. You can tell by the activities that they're for native Israeli kids. And they teach it that way also. So I don't know why, but it's pretty common to see it either way, a little bit bigger or basically the same size as the regular letters. Okay, Sadi Sofit is going to start the same way as regular Sadi. You're going to start at the top right corner, draw a straight line towards the center, and you're going to pick up your pen and go to the top left corner, and then draw a diagonal line straight down towards the bottom right corner and beyond. Okay, but you can see this is how I learned to write it, and you can see that it's very space consuming. So a lot of people actually curve it downwards to make it more vertical at the end, and that way it doesn't take up so much space. I think it also looks better that way. Cursive Tzadi Sofit. It's much like the Lamed and the Fesofit. I don't hate this one as much as I hate Fesofit. You start like a Lamed, you do a little loop at the bottom, you come over, you curve over to the right. Now you're going to come down and you're going to come and you're going to cross that main line, right? But instead of going down, continuing downward like the Fesofit, you're going to come back up. And then you're going to cross your main line again over to the right. And what do you have? You have a little pretzel. So you remember that this is Sadi Sofit because it makes a pretzel. And you don't have to make so much of a pretzel. But if you don't make a pretzel, how are you going to remember that this is Sadi Sofit? But what you can do is, instead of making your pretzel, you make your loop at the bottom, you come up, you curve around to the right, and then you cross your line. You just go up a little bit. You don't have to complete that pretzel. I hope you know what I'm going to say about that loop at the bottom. If you're an adult, you want to minimize that loop. Don't be a sapir who is stuck in childhood with her big loops. Okay, so here's your 3 loopy letters. Right? On the right, you've got Lamed, which just has a quick little hook over to the right. In the middle, we have Fesofit, which crosses the main line and then continues down. On the left, we have Tzadi Sofit, which crosses the main line and loops back up. Those are the 3 loopy letters, and they can be easy to confuse because they're all loopy, right, at the bottom, but that's how you're going to try to remember them. All right, Kof. We're going to make our stroke from the top left to the other corner and then to the bottom right. And then we are going to start a new stroke in the middle. This one I sometimes put a little bit further to the right. It's not directly under the top left corner, but it can go either way. And then straight down and continue down. Remember, Kof it's a monkey. It has a tail. And you can very much write this with our stroke that we make that usually ends up in the bottom right corner. It can be curved inwards a little bit. That'll make it look a little bit more like the printed Kof. And a cursive Kof is going to have our archy stroke, our big arch, top left to bottom right, and then a straight line starting kind of in the middle of the left side, going straight down and down far enough that it doesn't look like a hay. It is just the top left to bottom right stroke that we have going through that top right corner. And this one would definitely not be bad if it was rounded, because remember, the only thing that distinguishes the block resh from the block dalid is the fact that it doesn't have that little tag on that top right corner. So rounding it would really make it stand out, make it look like there's, saying no tag here, that I am definitely a resh because I am round. And then the cursive resh is just this nice big arch. That's all it is. And one thing you want to make sure of is not to curl this leg under. It wants to stand on its leg, because if you curl it under a little too much, it's going to look like a cuff. 2 more letters. You guys are going to be Hebrew pros any minute now. All right. So black sheen can be made 2 ways. This is the way I was taught to make it when I was a kid. So you start at the top right corner, and it's going to be 2 strokes altogether. So you start at the top right, and then you come like a diagonal line, I guess about 1/3 of the way across, right? Just like all of the others. And then you draw a horizontal line another third of the way across, and then a diagonal line up to the top left corner. So that is all in 1 stroke. So you can see that I'm not exactly a third, and a third here. It doesn't really matter. Then you're going to start another stroke in the middle of your letter space. And you're going to go into that bottom left corner of your letter. So remember, Sheen has like three arms kind of going up in the air. Another way to make it is to basically start at the top right corner and make a nice big round sweeping U to the top left corner. And then you can start your next stroke in the middle of the top line, and then you can go straight to the left side, or you can make it kind of nice and a little archy line to the left side. You can make it more towards the corner. Of course, there's no harsh corners in this one. It really doesn't matter. It needs to kind of hit the main line on the left side, right? You don't want to go towards the right side. But yeah, anywhere, it can start all the way up at the top, or it can start in the middle. I think if you start it up at the top, it looks more like the printed letter. And so in that respect, I think it looks better. All right. And then a cursive sheen is going to end up looking like almost like a rounded small E. You start on the right side, anywhere up here. I've seen people start it all the way up at the top, or most people start it somewhere down further. Anywhere on the right side, you're going to start. And then you're going to swirl around and just make an E. Okay? As long as it looks like an E at the end, you are good. All right, our final letter that we are writing today. You're gonna make a taf. Block taf is you start on the top left corner, you make your resh, and then you start your second stroke a little to the right of that top left corner. You make a vertical line down, and then you make your foot off to the left. Remember that foot is the most important part of the taf. It's what distinguishes it from the set. And then your cursive taf is going to be just a rounded version. So you make a cursive resh, and then you start again at the top left. Doesn't have to be exact. And you make a stroke that's going to curve down to the left, right? You want that foot. It's not going to be an exact right angle because it's cursive. You did it! You now know all 22 letters plus the 5 final letters. That is all of the letters of the Hebrew Alef-Bet. And as always, if you want to continue practicing your letters, take a picture of your page and put it in the comments, and I will look at it and let you know how you're doing. And as usual, if you have any questions or feedback, please leave it in the comments, and I will do my best to respond. Don't forget that on Thursday, I will post a book review, and then Sunday will be Hebrew Vocab Boost. Or just wait for next week's grammar video, which will be on the Nikud system and other aspects of reading and writing. And as usual, if you have some aspect of Hebrew grammar that has you flummoxed, let me know, and I will do my best to explain it in a future video. Hit like if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe and press the notification bell if you want to see more. Lahitraot papa'a mapa'a. See you next time.